A communications manager for a hospital has a varied and complex role. The manager is required to communicate with staff and utility staff that are involved with everyday operations of the hospital. Nurses and medical staff require an extremely accurate communication system separate from non-medical staff. Patients and the community need to see that the stability and reputation are being maintained. This is done through compliance and legal accreditation requirements. Key messages that a communications manager needs to convey are the stability of the hospital through strategic plans and reviews on current policy. Corrective practices ensuring financial standards in areas of budget and expenditures by identifying possible variances. The communications manager is responsible for maintaining and ensuring the amendments of the communication system, such as physician answering machines, medical response systems, activation systems. The challenges of a communication manager in a hospital are complex because of the varied professions within departments that need to be understood. Delegation and a tight rein on departmental communication by frequent updates with managers are key. A communications manager for a large retail department store will encounter an audience of staff, internal, such as human resources and reception, and floor staff who deal directly with customers, stakeholders and the public as consumers. For a large retail department store, key messages need to be consistent with the corporate strategy and brand. A communications manager needs to ensure that the tone of the message being released is right for the targeted audience. Channels of communication for a large department store are varied. The main mode is television and catalogue advertisement. This method reaches a large, varied audience quickly. The manager will usually report to different department heads from a head office. Through written and verbal communication, a manager is required to identify areas where communication can be improved to provide the end user with a more effective journey. Maintaining and tailoring communication channels required to meet the needs of the store and field teams is required also. The overall role of communications manager in a large retail department store is to ensure any and all messages are effectively communicated through all departments, from head office to the consumer venturing into the store. Communications manager for a large international bank is required to support international markets, working with head office and the vice president in most instances. Geographical areas such as Europe, Asia, Middle East and Africa are some of the channels of communication, and the cultural norms and language barrier are essential to understand. Key messages are to ensure that communications deliver on business objectives and that high-level international initiatives receive communication support both internally and externally. An understanding of styles, channels and communication tactics that work for various markets and audiences in corporate, digital and social media. Different priorities for markets along with the differences in the audiences in each country need to be defined. The major challenges of a communications manager in the international banking sector are the geographical differences in the markets and how to incorporate an efficient communication system taking into account the cultural and language differences. The communications manager of a high school needs to engage with an audience made up of teachers, staff, students, community and government departments. The manager is responsible for developing regular and timely communications through which staff and the community are kept up to date of strategic goals and accomplishments. The communications manager is responsible for developing regular announcements of news and initiatives. The most effective method in this instance is email and social media. The challenges of the communications manager are that a school needs to be self-sustaining financially, although it cannot be run as a business. Sensitivity to the community's needs and expectations need to be balanced with government funding in order to present a cohesive learning environment that is beneficial in attracting new enrolments to sustain the longevity of the school. Communications manager of a large music store has a similar role to the manager of a large retail department store. An audience of staff members from all areas of the store, including floor and utilities staff. Key messages need to be consistent with the store's corporate image and brand. communications manager needs to ensure that a target audience is being reached through the appropriate modes of media. Social media and television advertising, along with catalogue prints, will reach a wide and varied audience. The challenges for a communication manager in a large music store are varied. The manager reports to various department heads to identify where communications may be improved, maintaining and tailoring communications to meet the needs of staff and stakeholders.